Welcome to This Week in College Hockey. We are the Walking Wounded here on our final show of the year. We have Jess has a knee brace on, and Sydney in St. Cloud / Sartell area is almost down and out for the count. Is the whole family sick?
Yeah, it's not great, but confirmed not COVID or the flu. So I guess miscellaneous other
All right.
illness.
All right.
Sydney,
I got it together for the show. I took a shot of Dayquil and I'm
taking shots.
powering through.
a little eyeliner, and you're off to the races. Right?
Sydney, you would relate to this.
Glamming up.
You would relate to this, Sydney, having been a mom. You know, the legend is that men are so whiny when they get a cold.
Yep.
I saw a great meme showing a woman very clearly in labor with her husband standing in front of her saying, well, now she understands how I feel when I have a cold.
Oh, yeah. Moms, you just got to power through it because obviously, you guys are parents too, so you know having a sick kid is like the worst thing ever because you just got to power through it. There's nothing you can do. So.
And I got a great line from my son. I have a 3-month-old grandson now.
August, is it?
August. Born in August. You know, last couple of days of August, he was born, my grandson. My son, about 2 months into being a father, was over at my house, and I could tell, he's got that kind of stare, 1,000-yard stare you get when you're a new parent, and
Yeah, like what just happened?
And my son asked me, he said, Dad, I know you loved me and you raised me well and all that, but when I was a newborn, did you ever look at me and say, please just shut the F up?
When you were 13, I thought that a few times too.
Exactly.
13, 23.
We've all been there. So God bless you for powering through, Sid. Great to have you.
Yeah, long weekend in my household, but I think we're getting close to being better. I don't know. But yeah, we're powering through it. We've got an interesting week because I feel like last week you were injured, Jess, and I went to the dentist, and then now you're still injured. I'm sick. So, Tony, I guess you're the only one who's okay.
Don't say my name.
I have a massive knee brace on, by the way. So we're going to try that for a month, according to a doctor. We're going to see how that works. Hopefully, I don't have to have surgery because they explained to me what the surgery would be like today if I have to have the surgery.
Oh, boy.
Not good.
Do we have a tendon, ligament, meniscus? Identified.
This is really far afield. This is why people tune in to hear my.
Oh yeah, they do.
Issues.
They want to know.
I have a torn meniscus.
You do. Yeah, you're gonna be fine.
And I have arthritis on top of that. So they said just going in and repairing the meniscus wouldn't basically fix the problem because of the arthritis.
Right.
Welcome to being 56, by the way. This is what you do. So they said if I need surgery, it's a whole thing with drilling holes in bones and plates and
hammers.
8 weeks. This is the best part. 8 weeks on crutches, then 4 weeks on like partial crutches, and 6 to 12 months before you're fully healthy. So anybody out there listening, if you were hoping to go skiing with me, probably not going to happen ever again.
Ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
That's probably done.
Nope, that's done. My answer would be no.
We're going to try the brace. We're going to see if the brace works. Hopefully, if it works.
For your sake, I got my fingers crossed. No.
You'd
have one of those scooters eventually where you like.
Yeah, the one knee up.
But again,
you'd have all that stuff.
Again, I'll use the Herb Brooks line.
Okay.
Bruise on the leg is a long way from the heart.
Oh, yeah, I knew that was coming. Well, your heart is in it, that's for
That'll
sure.
get them going.
Yeah.
We have plenty of games to talk about this week. I thought I'd start with one of the more interesting scenarios that I saw online. I don't know if you guys saw this at all, but Bemidji State played at Augustana this weekend, and it was supposed to be, your normal Friday, Saturday series.
Yep.
But there ended up being an ice issue Saturday that it sounded like they were originally just going to delay the game like an hour, and then it ended up having to get moved to like 12:07 on Sunday. Very odd.
This is at Sanford?
Yeah, this is in Sioux Falls.
Oh, it was.
And by the way, if people have not been there yet,
it's beautiful.
Fantastic rink.
It's beautiful.
I mean, they did it first class there.
Yes. Kayla and I went down there for a whole full day in the life a couple summers ago.
Sioux Falls is a sneaky great town, by the way. Not too far away. It's got some great restaurants. The actual falls in downtown Sioux Falls are really cool.
Yep.
And then, great college hockey rink on top of it. Sneaky good hockey town, too.
It is.
We talked to Bob Motzko about his time there coaching, the Stampede and, just kind of how things have grown there. Yeah.
I feel like the Denny Sanford Center there is too big, even for that town.
Yeah, maybe
it's like 11,000.
Yeah,
I've been to 3 or 4 games there, and except maybe Teddy Bear Night or the mini dog races, that thing only gets about 7 or 8.
Last time I was there, it was a regional 2024.
Yes.
Gophers beat Omaha.
That was the one with Max Celebrini behind the back, right?
Yeah. Max Celebrini just saying, hey, where's that Hobie? Is it being delivered to my room?
Right.
It's
that, right here.
That moment. But the one thing I will say, the press box was like here, and where Ryan is, that's where they put the BU band for both games. It's like, really? Was that really the best place? And
have you been to St. Thomas? You have.
Yes.
Where's the band? It's
and the band and the student section right
from you. Yes.
Yeah, and again, place wasn't sold out. It's like, how about up in that corner? Could you put the band up there?
Yeah.
So we can work without earplugs. Just a thought.
Yeah.
Well, so that was kind of the interesting part of that game, because I saw that apparently fans were there, ready to go for the game Saturday, and then
how weird is that?
Yeah.
Was not happening. So I don't know what happened specifically. I was trying to kind of look around on Twitter. I didn't see anyone specifically say. I don't know if just there was a chunk of ice that was not good or what, not sure. But that's odd. So there was a lone kind of Sunday at noon game that happened yesterday. But just for kind of a quick recap of the games, and then if there's anything that sticks out to you guys, you can say. But Bemidji State at Augustana. Augustana wins 3-1 Friday, and then it was a 4-4 shootout win / tie, whatever you want to call it, for Bemidji State Sunday. Not a ton of Minnesotans scoring in the games. Friday, Ben Trombley was the lone Minnesota guy to score in the game for either team. Bemidji State kind of looked pretty good on paper. They won a lot of faceoffs. They outshot the Vikings, but their goalie, who we've talked about, Josh Kotai, really good, makes 36 saves. And Augustana scored 2 goals like within 30 seconds, and then had an empty netter. So that's kind of the story of Friday. And then Sunday, Augustana also had 2 goals within like a minute. I don't know kind of what's up with that this weekend. They're scoring a lot of back-to-back goals. Right. Joey Del Greco, lone Minnesota guy to score. One interesting storyline, Landon Fandel, he's not a Minnesotan, but he's actually from Sioux Falls and goes to Augustana now, which is kind of cool. He scored his first collegiate goal for Augustana and had 4 blocks on Sunday, which is kind of cool. Hometown kid. And Bemidji State, again, looks like they kind of way outshot Augustana and had a good game, but they have to settle for a shootout win. So I'm assuming this is a weekend where if you're a Bemidji fan, you would have kind of expected more given the stats that I saw and everything.
Yeah, only 2 points hurts for them.
So they get the shootout win and then a loss. But Augustana, I mean, honestly, you would be okay with that because you probably got more points than maybe you should have. I don't know. I didn't physically watch these games, but based on the stats, it looks like Bemidji kind of should have done better.
Right.
I did watch a little bit of the North Dakota St. Cloud State game.
Can I just say quickly before we move on to the next series?
Yeah.
I got a homework assignment for the Beavers over the holiday break.
Ooh, I like this.
Okay.
Figure out who you are. It seems like they're playing everybody tough and yet not winning a lot.
Right.
Yeah. There's got to be some other gear there that they just need to find because this is a good team. I think
they're good.
Yeah. I mean, they've got a lot of good pieces and just haven't quite put them all together yet.
I think this.
So there's my homework assignment. You got a couple weeks off. You got a break. Do a little soul searching. Figure out who you are.
I think this league title is going to come down to who has the best goalie, and there's a lot of good goalies in this league.
Yeah.
So Alex Tracy and Kotai, and it'll come. I think that's what this league championship is going to come down to. And if Mankato keeps losing the Ferris State types, they're going to be outside the top 12. And you know what happens outside the top 12 , Jess.
Then it gets real hairy real quickly.
And they're at 10 right now. So it's like they better be real careful if they lose a couple. And if that's the thing about their league, it's a good league.
Yeah.
Right? We just saw what happened this weekend in Sioux Falls. There's going to be a couple stinkers in there. They're going to find themselves just like they were last year. They were right around 15 last year at the end of the season. They needed to win the CCHA in order to get in and guarantee themselves a spot.
So that's essentially what I'm saying. I think the Beavers are a good team, and it's a good league, but you don't get credit for being a good team. You get credit for winning games. And whatever that extra gear is that they need to find, you got a couple weeks now, figure out who you are.
Yeah, and they get a fun non-conference game on January 2nd against the Gophers. So,
Yep.
Which I love that they play that game.
Absolutely. Love that one.
I hope that's a standing tradition. The Gophers go to Bemidji on New Year's Eve, New Year's Day every year. That'd be great.
One of the
great for hockey, right?
One of the cool, absolutely, it's great for hockey. You know, it's great for hockey in Minnesota. You know,
yes.
and I love that Bob Motzko remembers where he came from. You know, he was at St. Cloud all those years. You know, he remembers what it was like to be one of those non-Big Ten schools that's in the state and trying to get games and what it means having the Gophers come into your building or what it means going down to their building. Because let's face it, a lot of Bemidji State alumni here in the Twin Cities that like to come out and see the old alma mater play. So, great. And one of the things I really love, Bob Motzko did this a couple years ago. On their way up to Bemidji.
They went to Eveleth.
Took the long way.
That's the long
Went
way.
to Eveleth, saw the old Hippodrome.
Yeah.
And John Mayasich came out and, met you talk about Mr. Hockey, in Minnesota. John Mayasich came out, met the Gophers, and I'm looking at these guys, Brock Faber and Matthew Nyes and Logan Cooley and these guys that are making literally tens of millions in the NHL now are sitting at the rink in Eveleth, and guys who aren't from Minnesota necessarily either, kind of seeing what.
Yeah, I think it would be cool for them.
The roots of the game in this state and the roots of kind of the Gopher hockey program in the 50s when a guy like Mayasich came to the Twin Cities and did all the things he did.
As long as we're throwing, nice things to Bob, throwing roses at Bob. He also goes to Rochester a lot too.
He does. Yeah.
He's gone to the Graham Arena 2 or 3 times, and they put on the little exhibition games, and when they have those off weekends, they've in their Big Ten off weekend, they go down to Rochester and they play an inter squad game, and the whole town shows up to watch a Gopher inter squad game. So he does a really nice job of getting the brand out there. There's lots of kids. The reason I like the Bemidji thing so much is Bemidji's an hour from Rapids. It's like a couple hours from Fargo-Moorhead and Grand Forks. It's like a lot of people can kind of come and watch get their one shot at seeing the Gophers a year. I love that tradition the last few years.
Motzko, and we can talk about more later, but Reed Cashman, coach at Dartmouth, we're going to talk about them a little bit more later, is from Red Wing.
Mm-hmm.
Pat Ferschweiler, head coach at Western Michigan,
Rochester.
defending national champions at Rochester. Bob Motzko, obviously from Austin.
So
I kind of joke with him that, that southwestern corner of the state is kind of the epicenter of college hockey.
It is.
Right now. Yeah, absolutely.
That's pretty good. I like that. Yeah. That's a good
And then,
take.
of course, like the Hill Murray girls are, one of the top teams in the state there, and they've got the John Pohl connection, and, just...
So I told this today on the commute. I'll tell it here. It's not related, but it's kind of related to everything. I'm going to get some mileage out of this one. So I'm standing next to their box, and John and Chrissy are coaching together, right? I don't know if I've ever had a husband and wife team coaching.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's interesting, right? And I didn't go sit. I'm going to stand right next to their box. It was the best place for me to shoot pictures in that moment, right? And Johnny's team is getting out penalty. Let's put it that way, 5-1, and Holy Family's got both goals. Blah blah blah. And he says something to the ref. The ref did the old, did the chicken neck, like what? What did you just say?
The rabbit ears.
Yes, what? Like that. And then his wife on the other side's like, Johnny. I kind of gave him a stern little bit. He's like, what? I didn't say anything. And he gave his wife, like a little 13-year-old kid, goes, what? I didn't say anything. It was priceless. It was like, oh my God, I'm glad I saw that. That was good TV right there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
all right. I digress, as always.
No problem.
No, you're good.
We'll move on.
Speaking of CCHA and goaltending, and like you said, it might need to be the best team with the best goaltending that wins the league. I mean, Bemidji State, I didn't watch these games super closely or anything, but they split their goalies, and I don't know if that's something that maybe would be helping them if they had slightly better goaltending stats. They're splitting kind of between Hildebrand and Robbins, and Hildebrand has an 888 right now, save percentage, and Robbins is a 908, so not sure if maybe that's something that would help them or not. I don't know.
Sure.
Otherwise, North Dakota sweeps St. Cloud State. I watched some of these games, not all of them super closely, but honestly, I thought St. Cloud played pretty well, all things considered. It was actually a pretty fun series to watch. Normally when St. Cloud plays at the Herb, it's fun because there's a lot of both fans there. It's loud. It's usually a close, good series. I thought actually the Huskies played pretty well. Just North Dakota right now is the better overall team right now. I mean, that's kind of what I came out of the weekend with it. And North Dakota's also been really good on the road this year. And Friday night, there was just some highlight reel goals. Barrett Hall had a shorthanded goal that was awesome. And then Will Zellers had a great goal right in front of the net. So there was some really, really nice Minnesotan goals this weekend as well. And then Saturday,
did you see the Cody Kroll snipe too?
Yeah, I mean there was even more I could talk about, but there was a lot of really good goals in this series.
Is this the time for me to ask if North Dakota is the best team in the country?
I mean, they looked good. I thought St. Cloud was right with
that
them for most of the games. Just right at the tail end in the third period, kind of North Dakota just pulled away with it when they needed to, which is what a good team does, though. So,
right.
I mean, they looked good, I thought. Saturday was kind of interesting. Littler had 2 goals. Livanovich had 2 goals. There was a 5-minute major for butt ending, which is rare. It was a little soft, I'll say, as a St. Cloud fan.
I like this.
It was called on a North Dakota guy. You could tell in the replay it did look like he did do the butt ending motion, but it didn't look like it was super hard. So I think it was probably like, well, you did it. It didn't look that aggressive. And I know some of the North Dakota fans were mad because I think it was Gavin Thorson who drew it, and he is always being a pest out there. So
yes,
dangerous play. I can
he
see
loves
them
to draw on other guys with his antics, you know. So
yeah, it's almost more dangerous than spearing.
Even if it was soft, I can see him coming down hard as if to say, "Hey, you don't do this."
Yeah, correct. I think it's like face masking, where if you even grab it a little bit, they're gonna call it. So
Henry Boucher lost an eye to a butt end of a stick. It's a very dangerous play. So
I've reffed now. This is my 3rd full year of officiating, and I've yet to call a penalty shot. It's one of those things as a ref you're really looking for. You know, you want to call a penalty shot. If you see a butt end, you're like, I gotta call that. You know, it's a for sure call kind of thing.
And you haven't called one yet?
I have not called. No, I haven't called a penalty shot either.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think this is the first time I've seen a butt ending called. Well, the second time, I know there was one was it a regional, an NCAA game, like a couple years ago, or maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, something like that. But I've only seen it called maybe twice on games I'm watching live on.
That's
the
rare.
TV, so
I think penalty shots are more common than a butt end call. When you say it seems like you see that way more often.
Yeah, it's pretty rare.
Right.
So I thought it was a little soft, but I get why they called it because you could see it on the replay. It wasn't anything egregious.
So Sydney, let me ask you, Sydney. We talked about this series last weekend before it happened.
Yeah.
You know, and
yes.
Remember the worst case scenario was you get swept and you get blown out, and then a little better is you get swept, but both games are good. What did St. Cloud get out of this weekend? I mean, because it sounds like 2 good games.
Yeah,
but the end result is the bus is heading to Grand Forks and you got 0 points.
Yeah,
I think they did play pretty well, all things considered, but at the same time, you get 0 points. Right. So, I mean, I'm setting my expectations definitely lower for the rest of the season. I don't think getting swept by North Dakota is bad. Like, I thought they cared a lot more. There's been a couple games where I felt like maybe they just were kind of letting that game go, and I felt like they actually were competing pretty well and had some decent chances and stuff, but North Dakota's just kind of overall the better team. But I definitely am not going to be thinking that the Huskies are going to be winning the NCHC or anything. I mean, I'd be a little surprised if we make the tournament even at this point. So I think it didn't make me feel like, this is going to be a bad year, but I think if you're a St. Cloud fan, you're probably like, okay, maybe stretch goal of making an NCAA berth, but at this point, I don't know. They've had a couple clunkers now, so I think that might be a little hard unless they steal a couple games here.
This was your litmus test. You said I'm going to build on what Jess was saying. You said if they win a couple, I'm excited. If they split, I'll still have hope.
Yeah, it's kind of like, well,
I'm going to readjust my lens a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think it's going to be a horrible season or anything. I thought they played with them really well, but I don't think this is like they're not going to go out and like win a huge national tournament or something.
From an NPI standpoint, these are tough losses. I mean, these are ones that stick on your resume.
Yeah,
especially
and it doesn't get any easier. Yeah. St. Cloud plays Denver next, so I mean, I don't think they're going to be like horrible the rest of the season or anything, but I don't think it's going to be like crazy good either. So I'm not feeling horrible, but I'm not feeling like amazing. The power play was also not great Saturday. I think it was like 1 for 6. So there's a couple things I'd like to clean out, but I thought they stuck with North Dakota, and North Dakota, all things considered, I thought looked really good. They scored when they needed to. And they had a shorthanded goal. I think it was one of Livanovich's at the end of Saturday's game that right when the Huskies had momentum, they score a shorty, and it just took all the momentum away. So they did what they needed to do. So props to them.
Answer my question, Jess.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is North Dakota the best team in the country?
I don't think they're the best team in the country. Okay. I think they're very good, but I'll be honest, I don't think they're the best team in their conference.
Who's better?
Wow. Hot take.
Your alma mater?
I think it might be Minnesota Duluth. I mean, going into Western Michigan and doing what they did last weekend, we can talk about them more later. I really think I'm. Okay. This is scary for me as a Minnesota sports fan. I'm starting to believe that
in UMD
in the Bulldogs. Okay. You never want to get
a good conference.
Yeah, good. I mean, let's face it, the NCHC is such a meat grinder. I mean, you talk about Sydney, you deal with North Dakota, and oh, by the way, here comes Denver. It's like you deal with Western Michigan, and oh, by the way, here's who's up next. It's like
you could say the same for the Big Ten. I mean, look at the Gophers January, for the exception of Bemidji State. They open up January. They go to Penn State, and then they play the 2 Michigans and Wisconsin.
Yep.
Holy January.
And by the way, quick note on North Dakota. This is courtesy of our friend Brad Schlossman. Team Canada made its preliminary roster invites.
Yeah, our boy Roger McQueen didn't get invited.
Right, he didn't get invited. But this is
crazy.
Per Brad Schlossman, it's been 43 years since North Dakota had multiple representatives on the Canadian World Junior team, and this year they've got 3 guys who got invited. So potentially multiple Hawks heading to St. Paul, Minneapolis for World Juniors.
Good.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that little St. Paul, Minneapolis.
Cole Reschny, Keaton Verhoff, and Ethan McKenzie, by the way.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
Yeah, well, that's a good team.
You want to talk about the USHL a little bit?
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's do that. What a great league, first of all. But, what's going to come out of what I just can't wait to get my hands on the call with Glenn Heffron, because he is ready to drop what's going to happen, and I know it's going to come out soon with their new league, with how the league's going to be structured. I'm excited about that. But there's a lot of great hockey being played in the league, and your guys' pod has been fantastic.
I love it.
I absolutely love it. There's a few inside jokes that I'm starting to miss now. I have to listen to every show now. With what's going on with Drew, there was some kind of meme about Drew. I didn't even understand half of it. What was that all about?
Well, I mean, what meme? I mean, we've got quite a few going on.
You guys
now.
are like the meme machine over there. But anyway, league's great. Tell me what's going on with the league that really stood out to you last weekend.
I mean, we talked a little bit about the CHL USA Prospects Challenge, nothing too much. And then there was a couple of commitments, and obviously USHL tenders are starting soon, which is cool. And as always, you guys know me, I'm obsessed with the line charts. We talked about a lot of Minnesotan decommitments and just some other decos in general. And I know this week when we record, we'll have to talk about, Tony, I don't know if you saw this, but Xavier Wendt had a goalie goal and
it was unbelievable.
We're gonna have to talk about that for sure this week. So it'll be a big week this week. And there was a goalie fight last week as well. So it was a busy week.
I saw the video of that goalie fight. Yeah, goalie fights are so silly. I'm just saying it. You got
I
so
love
many
goalie
You got
fights.
so many pads on. You're not
so
gonna
dangerous.
I love goalie fights.
Okay.
That's the best.
Well, you have that to yourself.
That is my new thing. I love goalie fights.
The other USHL news I saw this week, by the way, kind of cool. New rink in Madison for the Capitals.
Yes, we talked about that a lot because Drew obviously works for the Caps, so he was telling us that was hard to keep a secret for a while because
I'm sure it was.
That's a cool thing.
So Xavier
awesome.
Wendt scores the goal, which I love. Then he celebrates, right? But the cool part is then he goes through the line with the team. He leads the line through the deal, which I thought was pretty cool.
He had a shutout that night too. So goal and a shutout.
Wow. What a night for Xavier.
Another quick note about the Madison Capitals. I've always loved this about them. The Washington Capitals, CAPITAL, named after the city, the capital.
Yep.
Madison Capitals with an O, so they're named after the building.
The building.
Because maybe not everybody knows this, Capitol with an A is the city.
City, yep, the capital city.
The physical building, Capitol
is
with
the
an
building.
O.
Yeah.
And Madison, for whatever reason, has always been the capital.
The buildings,
like
fighting buildings.
Named after the building. I think that's kind of cool. Why not?
Yeah, but, and like, I don't know how many of the capitals look exactly like the U.S. Capitol. It's a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's
with
all,
the dome.
but it's a lot. Yeah, I have the dome.
Yeah.
I will say this: if you've been to Bismarck,
it's not.
That's
the only reason I know.
There's a way to do it wrong.
I have my best man at my wedding is from Bismarck.
I love North Dakota.
Reminded me of that.
I love the people of North Dakota. If somebody showed up with a bulldozer one day and said we're going to start over, I think that wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah, that's how I learned that not all capitals
Yep.
didn't have the dome that we have here in St. Paul.
No, there are a few like that. I've been to like New York State Capitol looks like an old Gothic mansion or something like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the classic dome.
I feel like Kentucky's is different.
Louisiana also kind of has that.
Virginia's is for sure. It's
Yep.
definitely is different. It's
And then
gold.
I went to Salem, Oregon once just to see the Capitol
Yeah.
building. It looks like a bad bowling trophy. It's just
really,
it's got kind of a dome-ish thing in the middle, but it's like a gray, like cylinder with a gold statue. And it honestly looks like a bowling trophy.
Virginia's looks like the Golden Dome almost at Notre Dame, a little bit like that.
Nice.
It's different.
Nice.
Definitely different.
Yep.
So,
Anyway,
all right, where do we go now?
So we have plenty to talk about on the USHL show this week, and Xavier one's playing in the dub, not the USHL, but we got plenty of other good stuff.
Ooh,
to talk about
sorry.
this week.
It's okay. It's fine.
But yeah,
we
nevertheless,
did tell them that there will be some NOL and WHL
Yeah.
stuff chatter as well. That's cool.
Some other games that happened, nothing too crazy here with St. Thomas. They split with Lake Superior State. You know, you obviously would have wanted to sweep the weekend, but Lake State Friday was 3 for 3 on the power play. Minnesotan Evan Bushy scored a goal, so shout out.
That.
It was more like 5-2, but then St. Thomas scored kind of a last-second goal, and Jake Brasini was the only other Minnesotan to score in that game. Again, it's kind of spin the wheel of goalies for St. Thomas. They play Aaron Trotter in net on the loss Friday, and then Carson Musser in net for the win Saturday. So kind of crazy. St. Thomas's stats looked good Friday. Just Lake State had a goalie who made 44 saves, and he has an all-time name. His name is Rourke Appleby.
Really?
So, love that. I thought
sounds
that
like
was
he should be at like Westchester Country Club, doesn't
funny
it?
It does.
name. Yeah.
It does.
So he had a big night. Chase Cheslock shout out 3 assists, even though it was a loss. And Lake State had a guy who had 4 assists, ran back, kind of crazy. And then Saturday, Tommy's bounced back. Lucas Wallen 2 goals, 1 shorthanded. Kind of the usual suspects scoring. Hayes Hunley 6 blocks, which was big. Musser gets the dub. Shots were pretty even, so nothing super crazy struck me about these games, unless they did for you guys.
I got 2 Tommy items for you. I was looking through NPI and noticed that they're 24. What have they done to earn 24? That seems pretty high.
Was it today or before this weekend?
It was today.
I think we
they did sweep St. Cloud, and like we said last weekend,
That helps, I guess.
St. Cloud was kind of high. I bet they're quite a bit lower now after getting swept, but they had that, and St. Thomas, let me look who else. I feel like they started out pretty well, actually.
They beat Providence, too.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. That was a big one.
All right.
So they're definitely not a bad team. They're kind of like Bemidji, where they've had some results that have been a little like okay, where they've had good wins and then they've had a couple clunkers. They had an overtime win over Minnesota State.
Yep,
That's a good one.
that's good.
Good one. They split with Bowling Green or got a split plus.
And you've been to a
Split
couple
plus with
men's
Michigan
games, haven't
Tech.
you?
I have.
So
Yeah,
they have a couple of decent results.
I actually went to this one, the Saturday game.
Okay, just you're gonna set the table for me. The building holds 5,000 fans. How many fans
Oh man.
were at maximum out of the 5,000?
I mean, I'll just be honest. It was probably
Less than 2,500 or more than 2,500?
less.
Come on, Tommies. You're Division I now. You got to
They
get
are.
out there.
Day one when the rink opened, you and I were both there.
Yep.
Talking to some Tommy's people, this was a concern. Just because new place, people getting used to it, people, hey, where can I park, all that.
Right,
and
yeah,
then nothing against Lake State, multi-national championship program, but people don't know who they are yet. And they're not going to get to know them because next year Tommy's are going to the NCHC. It'll be different when it's Minnesota Duluth, it's North Dakota, it's
and
St.
Cloud.
Yep,
When they get
yep.
those
when those
three
three
in
teams
on a
are coming to
weekend,
town,
Great.
I think you're right.
It's going to
I'll
be
give you
different.
that.
I guess if you're kind of writing this year off, I get that a little bit. There's just not the excitement for Lake State or Michigan Tech. Those CCHA teams, and nothing against those programs.
No.
It's a matter of educating the Tommies fan base, and that, I just don't realistically think that's going to happen this season.
I honestly my expectations were way higher. I was like, they're building this brand new thing. They got all those students on campus. Yep. That place is going to be packed
St.
every
Paul's
night.
not much of a hockey town. Oh, no.
It's a beautiful building, and I thought of a good hypothetical kind of comparison. It's almost like they bought new skates, and they bought them a size too big because they know that they are going to grow into them. Yep. But this year is a little bit of a development.
That's a really good
analogy.
The skates are a little too big this year, but it doesn't make sense to buy skates that are just a hair too big because they're going to outgrow that. Yeah. But
that's true. That's true.
I was there. I would say there was, under 20%. I would say there was a good chunk of Lake Superior State fans as well.
Really?
Yeah. But I stayed for the presser after, and Rico Blasi was just talking about consistency with this team. And he was like, to be honest, I'm just trying to figure this team out right now. And he didn't really have anything. Obviously, he's not going to say anything negative, but he didn't really have anything too negative to say other than.
Oh, we've heard coaches say things negative.
He just.
The guy that used to be at Michigan Tech, pretty sure that's why he got fired.
Yes.
he was not afraid to throw his own team under the bus.
I just, like you said, I think.
Joe Sean, by the way, that's who I'm saying.
Conference next year in that stadium, I think, will be full in no time. Or more full, I would say.
I agree with that.
Quick shout out, by the way, you mentioned Jake Brasini. He's got 6 goals already this year. His career high is 9, so he's off to a nice start. Interesting story. He bounced around a little bit. He was originally a Gophers commit, wound up not going there. Did some time in the USHL from Buffalo, Minnesota, of all places. Not known as a hockey power, but good for him making a nice career for himself with the Tommies.
He had a goal Saturday night. I don't know if anybody saw this one. He had a goal where it was a great, right in front of the net, tap in goal, but then his momentum fell. He fell into the goalie. The goal counted, but then he got a 2-minute penalty.
Okay.
Really? I've never seen that before.
I thought so. I thought it's either no penalty would correlate with a goal or.
Yeah, that's weird. I want to see that.
So they talked about that one. And then the other thing I texted in our group chat was Lake Superior State pulled their goalie with 6:55 left in the third period. I
love that. Did they give any up?
No, it worked. It worked for like 2.5 minutes, and the photo hole I was in was right next to the Zamboni hole, and all the St. Thomas people with the shovels are kind of like, "Oh, geez, what's going on here?" It's kind of working a little bit. So, They didn't score any goals, and they actually took a penalty, so their goalie had to go back in.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Okay, so you asked about this about pulling your goalie that
I did.
early, and the one historical example I use, Dean Blaze, when he coached at North Dakota, who was absolutely not afraid. If he was down by 2 goals and there were 5 minutes left, get to the bench. He said, and his philosophy, and I use this all the time, there's no sense in defending a loss. What does it matter if we lose by 2 or we lose by 3?
Doesn't matter.
And the classic example, you mentioned this, Tony. I was in the building, Albany, New York.
It was 2001?
2001 national championship game. And for history, in 2000, Boston College, North Dakota national championship game in Providence. BC takes a 2-1 lead into the third period. And then Lee Gorin, who wound up being the MVP of the tournament, I think had a hat trick in the third period. North Dakota completely flips the script in the last, about as dramatic as that Denver Minnesota State Mankato national championship game, where it was like everything was trending one way and then everything switched. So that was in 2000 in Providence. North Dakota wins the national championship. Boston College at the time had gone like 50 years without a title. It was like 1946 was their last national title. I may be getting the year wrong, but it was like a long time. So there was all this, will BC ever win a title? 2001, Albany, New York. BC's up by 2 goals. Third period.
Listen to this, Ryan. It was crazy.
It's insane. Like 4 minutes left, I want to say. Dean Blaze says to Carl Goring, Come on over. Sit down."
Wow.
They tie the game up. like tying goal with 45 seconds left. And my friend Scott Hennon, who is the North Dakota broadcaster at the time, he's here to you away from me, and I thought he was going to have a heart attack. I mean, he's hyperventilating. They cannot believe this is happening. And then game goes to overtime. BC wins it. breaks this long drought. And then BC was kind of the team of the decade there for a while.
They were, yeah.
But just one of the most amazing moments. And the reason I think of this still is a couple years later, Dean Blaze goes to the NHL. He goes to be an assistant coach with Columbus. And Dave Haxtell the next day is named the new coach at North Dakota. One of the first questions in the press conference, somebody says to Haxtell, how will your style differ from Dean Blaze? Because Haxtell had been an assistant coach for many years under Blaze. Will you try and kind of continue what he did, or how does your style differ? And Haxtell says, are you asking me if I'm going to pull the goalie with 5 minutes left? It's like that was kind of the Dean Blaze hallmark.
One of the nicest men you'll ever meet is Hack. He's just the nicest guy.
All those guys. I mean,
hurt a fly.
You come to the golf tournament in Warroad every summer. Dean Blaze shows up every year.
Nicest guy.
If you get a chance, he's one of those guys. If you get a chance to sit next to him, just around a table, having beers, telling stories, plant yourself there, because he has got an endless supply of just amazing story. A lot of them off the record, stuff behind the scenes. But you talk about a college hockey history in talking
an icon.
form. Absolutely.
He is an icon.
Not only at North Dakota, but coached in the NHL, coached Roseau to a state championship,
Yes,
coached International Falls High School,
Yep.
Coached in the USHL very successfully.
Played for the Gophers. I mean, he's got story. He's got literally every decade there's a new story from
That's
Dean
one of the
Blaze.
great stories too, is, he was a Gopher. He's from International Falls originally, played for the Gophers. But you talk about a guy who's associated with North Dakota hockey.
More than just about anyone.
And a funny thing, every year in Warroad, I get all of the Gopher alumni together to take a picture.
I've been there.
And it's Brian Bonin and Gigi Marvin and,
all those guys.
Thomas Vanek is there sometimes. I mean, all these legendary Gophers, and I always have to say, Blazer, come on,
Hey,
you need to get in the picture. Not that he's ashamed of being a Gopher, but he is so associated with North Dakota at this point in his life.
Yeah.
He feels weird about sitting down.
He has a hook, and he puts it around Dean's neck, and he yanks him over.
Blazer, come on, we need you. Come on,
here. We need you in here.
Little side
The
note.
rest of the Gophers are running over to the picture.
Oh yeah,
full on
absolutely.
sprint. Dean Blaze is getting harangued over to this picture.
I like to think Danny Hendrickson has those framed in his house somewhere. The yearly Gopher picture. Yeah.
For sure.
Little side note, congrats to Thomas Vanek this morning. He just announced he was inducted into the IIHF Hockey Hall of Fame.
That's well deserved.
Absolutely.
Well
Star for Austria on the international stage.
Absolutely.
And good for
no
him.
doubt about that. Are we on a college show now?
I don't know.
Where
Sydney's
are
still
we?
here?
Thomas Vanek actually did play
Okay.
college
He
hockey.
played college hockey.
Yeah, he played pretty
Yeah.
well.
Pretty good, too.
By the way,
Was he good? Yeah.
Speaking of Thomas Vanek, when his son got drafted this past summer, I put something up on social media. Congratulations to the Vanek family. Thomas's son, drafted wherever he was.
Blake, yeah.
I got more, oh my God, are we old comments from that one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thomas Vanek's kid is getting drafted in the NHL.
Oh
yes.
my gosh.
Yeah, no doubt. Good kid. Good kid. All right, where are we going now?
All right, we're going to keep it moving here. Minnesota gets a split plus with Ohio State this weekend. 6-3 and 6-5 in overtime were the scores. I kind of feel the same about Ohio State as how I feel with St. Cloud, where I think they're a good team. I mean, I do. They're just in a conference that's really good, so I feel like they are good, but they're just not as good as the top teams in their conference. Friday was kind of more like 4-3 score with 2 empty net goals. Ohio State's stats looked really good. They outshot Minnesota and won more faceoffs, but the Gophers find a way to get it done no matter what. Luca DePasqua was in net. Good night for Brody Zemer. Kind of both nights, honestly. He's been pretty good. And Saturday, kind of a back and forth game. Adam Isley scored the game tying goal to send things to OT, and then not Arizona, Ohio State wins it in OT. Airy in net again. I personally, just from the clips I saw, wasn't super impressed with Ohio State's goaltending, but maybe that was just the clips that I saw. I don't know. What did you guys think of this one?
Eberle is kind of classic big body goalie. He's a Michigan kid. Ohio State pulled him out of Michigan, got him down there. He's been really good for them sometimes, but I just don't think consistently enough. And you want to talk about a place where they need to sell a few tickets.
Jeez.
And now, they've been talking for several years now about a hockey-only building in Columbus that would house the women's and the men's programs. Man, is that long overdue, because playing in that facility just does not work. I mean, it's not a a hockey first school, obviously.
No.
Football rules the roost there, and I get that. And it was a weekend where, the football team's playing in the Big Ten championship, so a lot of fans are out of town, all of that. But man, oh man, I mean, there are 7 buildings in Big Ten hockey, and in 6 of them, you ask players, how are you going to deal with the crowd? And when they go to Ohio State, I'm not trying to rip the program, but when you go to Ohio State, I ask the Gophers, how are you going to get up for this game? How are you going to kind of create your own excitement? Because it's just a place where they don't draw well. And part of it is the fact that they're playing in a basketball facility that is way, way, way too big for what they are as a hockey program.
Let's go back to Ryan's skate analogy.
Yes.
What kind of boot is this that they have? I mean, it's
like their foot is shrinking.
Yeah. I mean, there is no.
And again, I'm not ripping the program. They've won Big Ten titles. They've been to Frozen Fours. I mean,
they're good.
It's a great athletic school, and man,
just have the whole
state of Ohio. But it's the old analogy. You'd rather be a small restaurant with a line out the door.
Correct. Well, interestingly, I don't know if it was said on this show or I heard this someplace else, but doesn't the basketball team want to get out of there too?
Probably.
It's too big for basketball.
Yeah. And now the flip side of that, it's the Goldilocks problem. This one's too hot, this one's too cold.
Correct.
If you've been to a women's game at Ohio State, I'm sorry.
It's
rocking, but OSU ice rink is embarrassing.
For a team that good,
it would be a bad practice rink. It's the South rink at Wakota or Doug Woog.
Correct.
With some temporary bleachers put in it. I mean, Ohio State, arguably the top women's program in the country.
It's a little better than that.
You don't think so?
It's a little better than the South Ring. It's not as good as
It's
not as good as Wakota won.
I'm just saying, but for that program,
correct,
with what they've done on the ice, their locker room is across the hallway, like in a different building.
Yeah, it's across the street
with a covered walkway over it. I mean, you literally end of the period, you literally have to walk outside to get to the old basketball arena where the women's hockey team has is housed. The visiting women's hockey team is in the basement.
Yeah.
And they have to come up a flight of stairs. So I'm sorry, Ohio State, you've got billions of dollars in your athletic department. To sell out a football game there, you need to do this. Open the doors.
Just one of their football players could buy a rink for them.
So long overdue for a hockey.
I said that.
Long overdue for a hockey.
Their starting quarterback probably gets paid more than it would cost.
Jeremiah Smith, their wide receiver.
Their wide receiver. Yeah, exactly.
So get her done.
All right.
Yeah. So that was the Minnesota-Ohio State game. Obviously, Minnesota gets the majority of the points, so that's good. Minnesota State this weekend. Another kind of disappointing series here for a Minnesota team is they split with Ferris State. They get a big 5-1 win, and then they lose 4-1. And obviously, I had been kind of starting to get high a little bit on Mankato, and then this happens, and I'm like, oh, that's not a good loss there. Friday, they score 5 unanswered, and then Ferris gets 1 at the end, so they did pretty good. Shots were pretty even. Minnesotan Noah Ruprecht, I want to say he's Thief River Falls,
goalie.
Was in net for Lake State. Friday, and then Saturday, the only goal for Mankato was from Jack Smith. Gavin Best, another Minnesotan, scored for Lake State. It was 3-1 plus an empty net goal, and Ferris did have power play goals in the second, so that's part of it. But you would have definitely wanted to see them come out with all the points on this one.
Yeah, no. What'd you say, Jess?
Ferris State. She said Lake State. Just.
Ferris State.
Yeah.
Just didn't want to get our Michigan teams confused.
No, but I knew who she was talking about, so I just slipped right by it. It slipped right by me.
Yep. Just wanted to clarify. No big deal.
Yeah, I think it's a concerning loss. But like I said earlier in the show, Minnesota State can't have these kind of losses, or they're going to end up right back in that purgatory, 14-15, and we know what happens there. Those teams end up out of the tournament. So.
Yep.
Yeah, not a ton of details on that one. Just obviously you would have wanted them to sweep. And then last but not least, obviously Minnesota Duluth split plus with Western Michigan. They get a 4-1 win and then a 3-2 overtime loss. Friday, a couple Minnesotans scoring with Max Plant and Grant Slukinski. Scout Truman, who's not a Minnesotan, but he had 2 power play goals for UMD, and they were also 3 for 3 in the power play, so that was rocking. And then Saturday, Harper Bentz lights the lamp for the Bulldogs, but another Minnesotan, Will Whitelaw, scored at the game, and then also had the overtime game winner, and it was actually a goalie assist on the play as well from Hammer, so that's kind of cool. I saw that in the box score, and there was actually only 1 penalty called the whole game on Saturday. So fun series. I always like watching Western Michigan play, so I didn't watch these 2 games, but maybe I'll watch the replay because I love watching Duluth and Western play. So these looked like a bunch of fun.
I saw Cole Spicer had at least 1 assist, maybe a couple. Good for him.
Did he really?
Good for him.
Amen
like talk about
that.
a much needed comeback story for a good kid who's been through some tough stuff.
Absolutely.
Off the ice and on the ice. So, so good for him coming back and, getting an assist against his old team.
Yeah.
And selfishly, I was going to mention my hometown at some point. There's a great picture somebody posted with Grant Seklinski, Hampton Seklinski, and Jason Shogby on the ice all at the same time. For a town the size of Warroad, that's pretty cool,
That is.
Three Division I guys all playing against each other in one game. That is
cool.
That was pretty awesome. So good for them.
And for those on this show watching, it's only going to get more. There's only going to be more because their youth program right now and their high school program has got about 12 or 13 more Division I kids. I can project out from seniors down to 6th grade. There's a ton of good players right now.
The gold standard I always compare it to your alma mater. When you go in Bloomington Ice Garden, they've got the.
I did not. I went to Southwest. My son's alma mater.
Sorry, your son's alma mater.
Okay, good.
I associate you with
his alma mater.
Ryan's alma mater.
With prestigious West Bloomington.
There
always.
we go.
Prestigious.
Oh God, it's so prestigious.
So Jefferson, when you go in Bloomington Ice Garden, they have the pictures of all the state
They
tournament.
used to. They don't have them anymore.
What?
Don't even get me started.
They're not there anymore.
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah,
all right.
state tournament appearances.
Show's over. I'm out. No, but okay. When they did,
Or state banners.
the '93 Jefferson team that went undefeated and won a state.
94 went undefeated.
Okay. You look at that team picture. I would always go through and count. I think there were 11 or 12.
11, I think,
guys.
is the number. Yeah.
That's just insane on one team.
I want you
It's
to note. Let me say this now because I got really defensive, by the way, a couple years ago on our boys pod, and Danny or Carl was like, this Minnetonka team, right, had 11 or 12 commits on that team that won in 2023, right, with Javon Moore and those guys.
Yep.
And I said, time out a second here. Time out. You're comparing Minnetonka to Jefferson? He's like, yeah, well, they were 25-1, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, let's look. Let's take a quick look at this Minnetonka roster. Alex Lundke, St. Thomas. He started, I go, do you know what St. Thomas was in 1993? He goes, what? I go, Division III. Every one of these players that was on that Bloomington Jefferson team were legit Division I schools. Minnesota. I went through it all.
Yeah, that's
it's a huge difference.
That was a time when the state of Minnesota had 3 Division I programs. Now it has 6.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. There
Don't
were
compare the two.
lot
It's not
fewer
apples to
opportunities.
apples.
Yeah.
It's not. It's just not.
Yeah.
Don't get me started on that. So there you go. Sorry. That was a soapbox. That was
Goalie on that team, by the way, Randy Keppel.
Yeah, his team's number 1 in the country right now. He has 0 games played, but he did suit up for the Gophers in 1996.
He did. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I know he
did.
started at like River Falls or someplace like that.
I don't know. He played juniors, I think.
Okay.
I think he played juniors.
The reason I thought of him is like, okay, so he graduated from Jefferson, great goalie, but never had to be a great goalie because that Jefferson team scored so many goals. His first junior game the next year, I think it was in the USHL. I look at the stats and he faced like 47 shots in his first game. I'm like,
that's the whole season.
That was like January and February for him at Jefferson. Anyway.
Another goalie in that group there, that 92, 93, 94 was a guy named Jeff Heil.
Yep.
And his son, speaking of getting old, his son Caleb,
yep,
is now committed to North Dakota. He'll be one of the goalies for the World Juniors team.
Yep.
There you go.
Awesome. Well, that's kind of all the game recaps, but to quickly talk about APX before we move on, if you want to learn at all anything more about your training or development needs, or you need an advisor, you can go to apx-hockey.com, or you can click on the news tab and read all the stories that I got going on.
I was going to say, who's writing all that news?
Yeah, we had a cool one last week. I don't know if you saw this, Tony, but with our APX athletes, we have 25 players this winter wearing a letter for their high school team. So that's pretty cool.
There were so many of them. Your Instagram,
good leaders and a lot of big names, familiar names that I'm sure people would know about.
Yeah, your Instagram ran out of spaces to get them all listed on.
Yeah.
It was good.
So that was pretty cool, and I talked with a couple of them too, and got some good quotes from them about what you can expect from their teams. I talked with Cheeseman from Holy Angels and Chaz Lentz from Hill Murray and Braden from Matamita. Is it First?
Yep,
First.
Braden
Yeah.
First. Yep.
Talked with all them, and they were all cool, and told me a little bit about what you can expect from their teams this year too. So that was cool. So
hats
shout
off
out
to you, City. Your work is so good. It's fantastic. I love reading it. It prompted, not related to this show, but it prompted Peter and I to talk about you had kind of a front runners for Miss Hockey, and Peter and I stole that and brought it. If you should go watch her ice show, because it was all about you and your article, who you said, we agreed, we disagreed, just some good banter, that's for sure.
You talk about
you can go read that on our website too, and that one was kind of interesting to write too for anyone who likes girls hockey, because this year there's not really it's definitely this person type of year. It's a little bit more open this year for Miss Hockey, so it took a while to come up with some stats for that, but yeah, you can go to apx-hockey.com and read all that, and yeah, got plenty of cool stuff.
We've talked about the high schools a little bit. Great line I heard this year, because we've talking about Thomas Vanek's kid or
right.
Caleb Heil or this next generation coming along. When I sat down with Bill Lechner a couple of weeks ago at Hill Murray about his team coming up, one of his great players this year is Godbout, who's
Gavin. Yep.
Gavin, whose dad played for the Gophers and stuff.
Jason, yep.
I said, how strange is that? He says, when the grandkids of kids I coach comes, that's probably when it's time to retire.
It is time to shut it down. That's for sure. I did an interview with him last week for our high school show, and he calls the young kids the puppies. I think it's great. He goes, "Yeah, you got all these puppies, and it's fun to hear him."
Bill Lechner, by the way, is in his 70s now. He's in his early 70s. I mean, good for him for
good
still
shape, really good shape.
And speaking of coaches who put in the years, a happy birthday today to longtime University of Michigan coach Red Berenson, turns 86 today. Coached well into his 70s.
Yeah.
And coached well, into
really
his 70s. Yeah. So, the ice sheet at Yost Ice Arena is named after Red now, and he still has this kind of corner box there, and you see him up there with a box of popcorn.
Cool.
And you can, and one of those guys who will talk to anybody. You can stop by and say hi to Red. So just one of the great ambassadors for college hockey. Whether you love Michigan or hate Michigan, and hey, there are a lot of Michigan haters out there, but just one of those just gentlemanly guys. Speaking
of ice rinks, I've heard the blasphemy somewhere that they may build a new rink.
They're going to have to.
Why this is a great talker.
They need a women. There's a strong movement afoot to add women's hockey at Michigan.
Yes.
And long overdue. There are no women's Division I programs in the state of Michigan. Think about that. That's just
crazy.
That's amazing to me. So the Board of Regents at the University of Michigan, one of the Board of Regents members, Marian Illich, the family that owns Little Caesars and owns the Red Wings and
everything.
The big family in Michigan has made it kind of her mission to, hey, we need to get a women's hockey program here. Here's the problem. Yost Ice Arena, cool old barn, all that, just like
it's the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Just like, Williams/Mariucci Arena, the old one, was a cool barn at one time. It
still is.
We're going back to this.
It has a nice men's Michigan hockey locker room. It's up a flight of stairs. It's kind of weird, but cool tribute to their history, all of that. The one visiting locker room in the building is kind of a room, and then it's some pipe and drape, and they lay down some carpet over by the Zamboni. It's that bad.
Well, when the women's club team wants to practice there, they don't even have anywhere to sit.
Right.
Or the men's club team.
Going back to the 2000s and before that, when the regionals were played at campus sites, Yost hosted a few regionals.
How?
Literally half of the arena lobby was cordoned off with pipe and drape, and that
had to be.
I mean, so again, at one time, cool place.
I still think it's super cool.
That time has come and gone.
Could that become their practice rink?
I hope so.
Right?
I hope they could do something with it.
And then they could have a new rink.
I'll say this. Michigan does a great job of honoring history. University of Michigan does.
Oh, yeah.
And the example of this, if you ever go to Yost Ice Arena, the parking lot is kind of wrapped around the building. Well,
super cool.
Right next to the parking lot, I never knew the history of this. There's a running track there.
Yep.
There's no stands around it. It's just a running track. And you see like students just there jogging, getting their exercise in, on nice nights in the fall or whatever. Never knew the history. That track is the spot in 1930 whatever.
Jesse Owens?
Where Jesse Owens like literally set 6 or 7 Big Ten records in one day on that site. Now, it would have been easy enough to pave that over and make it a parking facility or whatever, but they said no. And keep in mind,
this is the guy from Ohio State.
Michigan, Ohio State don't care for each other too much, and yet in honor of that piece of American history, they have preserved that
track.
Is
there a plaque there or something? They should have.
I think they do.
So they put a nice ice rink there.
So Michigan has done a good job of preserving history, the Big House and Chrysler Arena and Yost Ice Arena, and going into Yost, you're absolutely right. It's a cool place. And the first thing I thought of was like, could they have saved old Williams-Mariucci Arena, just, redone the interior of it? Turns out they built the new Mariucci Arena, 3M Arena at Mariucci, which is a fantastic cathedral to college hockey. I just think the time has come and gone for that building, and especially if you're going to add another tenant.
They have to add a women's program.
You have to add a women's program, and you have to do something facility-wise to make it work.
No arguments here. More women's college hockey, the better for everyone. That's the way I look at it.
So on that note, happy birthday, Red.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, a couple other notables here. This one, I know we were talking a little bit about over text, Tony, this weekend. Dartmouth, everyone's favorite team, which I believe is now, is it 10-0? I'm going to have to check.
It's undefeated, whatever it is. It's undefeated.
Undefeated, 10-0. Yep, I just checked. This weekend, they had a player who had just an insane weekend for them. And I sent Tony the photo of him too, because when they posted his like star of the night, the ECAC did, he's got like the stare down photo, which is awesome. But this guy named Hayden Stavroff just had a huge weekend. Night one, he has 2 goals, 2 assists for Dartmouth, I believe, looking at the box score. And the next night, he has 4 goals and then an assist for Dartmouth.
9 points.
Absolutely electric weekend for Hayden Stavroff. I've never heard of him until this weekend.
Then what was the other kid for
all-time photo?
Was it Princeton or something? Who was the team they beat?
Well, they played 2 different teams. Let me look it up here because that's what.
From Dublin, Ohio, came up through Culver Military Academy, renowned prep school in
They
Indiana.
played They won and defeated Brown 7-3, and they beat Yale 6-1.
Yeah, it must have been in the Brown game. The kid from Brown had a hat trick.
So it's just I don't know. It was a weird weekend, I guess, for those games.
Here's the mystery of Dartmouth. I'm just gonna throw it out there.
This year's mystery?
This year's mystery of Dartmouth.
Yeah, okay.
NPI, number 1 in the country.
Yep.
According to the computer rankings. National polls, they're about 10th.
Yep.
So the computers believe in Dartmouth. The voters do not yet. They're going to take some more convincing.
Well, I talked about this before we started the show. I was looking at Dartmouth a lot before this morning. I'm like, okay, I got to know my Dartmouth because they're undefeated. So I go in, and they just have these Ivy League and these ECAC wins. And I'm like, well, where are their non-conference games? I'm like, oh, I see they play December 27th and 28th or something like that against ASU. I'm like, and that's it. So we are going to have to trust that the ECAC is really good.
They do that weird thing, or at least they used to too, where they'll play conference opponents in a non-conference game.
Really?
Yeah, just to get in games. I remember the Ivy League doing that sometimes where, it's like, okay, this is a Dartmouth-Cornell game, but it doesn't count in conference standings. Those are just goofy.
That's weird.
You do see that like in holiday tournaments sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
Where you get, you would get 2 WCHA schools playing each other in the tournament championship game.
But it's not.
It doesn't count.
Correct.
Other than it counts for the computer rankings. Anyway.
Correct. Well, which is it? Are you in the press or are you in the computer side?
I'm in the press. Haven't shown me anything yet.
Same.
Show me something.
Same.
Yeah, I mean,
ASU, is ASU a good barometer?
I think so.
Yeah, I think we'll know a lot more after Christmas because they don't play a super tough schedule up until then. But then they play Arizona State right after Christmas, 2 games, and then after the New Year they'll play Princeton, Quinnipiac, Harvard, and Clarkson. So I think that stretch
we'll
will be
definitely
a good
couple of measuring your sticks there,
test because Harvard's pretty good. Clarkson's got some decent wins. Quinnipiac obviously is always tricky. So I think the next couple weeks, like kind of right after Christmas through the first few weeks of the new year, I think people will have a lot better idea. If they're still undefeated, then I think they're the real deal. If they lose all those games, then maybe not.
If they're undefeated after that stretch, I'm all in.
Yep.
Yeah. They do have some really good players, though. A lot of people have been hyping up defenseman CJ Foley. He's been a big part of their lineup, along with goalie Emmett Crotto. Has been really good. He's got a .80 goals against average right now, which is crazy. But I mean, they're undefeated, so obviously he's going to have some good stats. So Dartmouth, maybe the real deal. We'll see. We'll check back in a couple weeks. Another big series of the weekend. I don't know if you guys caught any of it, but Michigan and Michigan State played. So obviously that was a big one.
I watched that Friday night game.
They split, so I don't know if you guys took anything from that weekend or not.
Well, I was gonna say it was gonna be a split no matter what.
Yeah.
See, I tell you, I watched the Friday night game, and Michigan did not give Michigan State a sniff.
Yeah,
and it's in Munn Ice Arena. Big crowd. Fired up, if there's one game Michigan State could fence. And the way this rivalry works, they play home and home series twice, but the last game is always at Little Caesars Arena in Detroit, where they'll get 16,000, 17,000 fans. Yeah. So Michigan State had to give up one of its home games this year. So Friday night's game was the only game in Munn Arena this year in this rivalry.
And they had nothing to cheer for.
And, huge crowd, place is going crazy. And Michigan just like gave them nothing. And, Michigan's goalie is really good. We knew this. Michigan's ranked number 1 in the country for a reason. But it was just like, every rush down the net, you'd think, okay, the Spartans are going to get something going now, and just nothing. So to their credit, after that kind of beatdown that they took Friday night, to go into Michigan's building
and beat
them and win and salvage a split in the series, that was a real gut check, I think, for Michigan State.
I can't wait to see how this all turns out, because there's so many good teams in the Big Ten right now, and then we could go on and on about the NCHC.
Josh Arnissi, by the way, has made a real nice career for himself,
hasn't he?
At Michigan after, I think should have been CCHA Rookie of the Year his first year when he was at St. Thomas. Kind of a surprise transfer, went to Michigan, but he's done quite well there. So good for him.
No doubt about that.
Side note, they just, as of 4 minutes ago, the updated week's USCHO poll just came out.
Let's hear it.
Not a ton of movement. Michigan, number 1, as they were last week. First 3 are actually the same: Michigan, Wisconsin, Michigan State.
Yep.
North Dakota jumps. Minnesota, Duluth. They switched the 4 and 5 spots.
Yep.
Denver stays at 6. Western stays at 7. Dartmouth jumps from 10 to 8. They also have 1 first place vote, which is kind of funny. Penn State Penn State stays at 9. Quinnipiac bumps back to 10.
Yeah, so there's that win that Dartmouth needs is over Quinnipiac.
Yep.
Yeah. So Michigan, another interesting thing here, just a quick note. We always talk about possible Hobie candidates. Will Horkoff right now leading the nation in goals with 19, which is 4 more than the next closest skater in goals. So a lot of goals scored by him this year, which is crazy.
Yeah, he's definitely in the conversation. So is Max Plant, I think.
But, I mean, Michigan has a lot of guys that all have a ton of points, so that's kind of something that maybe would take away from it. Because if you have 3 guys that all have 28 points, which is tied for the most points in the nation with Max Plant, then obviously if everyone's scoring a bunch of points, then I feel like it might water down your specialness as much if everyone else also has that many. Another notable, Northern Michigan finally is not defeated.
Got the sweater right here. Got them on display.
Right here, baby.
Go Cats, baby.
They won a game, you guys, which is absolutely crazy. They actually had a pretty good weekend. We were talking about how they had been close. They just hadn't been able to do it. Well, Friday they beat Bowling Green 3-2, and then they lost actually in overtime the next night. So they might not have gotten a win, but they got some conference points. So shout out to them.
Quick note to Dave Shayak, their coach. Dave, congratulations. I used to have your cell number.
Not anymore.
I tried to send you a text Friday night to say congrats on the win, and it was a 907 number, so from his days at Alaska Anchorage. Some guy in somewhere in Alaska was very confused about my text message.
Did he get back to you?
Yeah, said, I think you have the wrong number.
No way.
So, Dave, I no longer have your cell number, but congratulations to you. And
let's get that.
Good step in the right direction for the program.
Let's get back. I think I can get it for you.
Really? You know, you got people?
I got some people tied to that, yeah.
906, 907, little change in the area code, whatever.
Not far.
And then one other notable here, not super crazy, but I saw that Chris Pelosi of Quinnipiac was added to the Spengler Cup roster since I saw that I believe it's Owen Beckner of CC is hurt. So one kind of swap. We might see more of those too. You never know. Just because whenever guys get hurt, obviously then they're going to switch in somebody else.
Chris Pelosi was a youth hockey legend from Pennsylvania.
Yeah, he's doing pretty good. He's got 20 points in 18 games for Quinnipiac right now, and he's a Bruins draft pick. Tony, is there anybody on Summit Score specifically that you wanted to shout out? I saw a couple this week that were kind of interesting. Luke Johnson, Alaska Anchorage. Not one we see on there too often.
Kid from St. Cloud.
Cole Christian, Air Force, good to see. Teddy Lagerback had 2 for Stonehill. Did you see Brendan McMorrow's goal?
It was unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Like,
Did
they couldn't touch him.
Shorty?
His nickname's Shorty, yeah.
Well, Shorty had a great Shorty this weekend.
He
so
did.
If you guys haven't seen that goal, watch it.
Really
if you're
good.
listening to it, because it was crazy.
You already called out the Evan Bushy. That's the one where we don't see that name very often.
Yeah, that was cool to see. Nick Sajovic. I see you have Jackson Reineke on here now. Shout out Robert Morris.
Like, literally, I glumly put his name on there. I've done more research on this kid. I got to do more because it does not look like he grew up in Faribault. Those are the kids I'm trying to vet out here. But you claim he did, so.
Hey, his dad messaged me. He did. They went through the association. So, Joe Miller, Harvard. I know Ivies haven't been playing that long, but he's wearing the C too. So
yes,
that's
he is.
cool.
I saw that.
Its own captain getting that Ivy.
Go for commit briefly, by the way, Joe Miller.
For what? Quite a while.
Yeah, maybe not briefly.
Yeah.
And scored both nights, I think, for the most part. Otherwise, we talked about a lot of these other ones. Isaiah Norland, I think, was both nights. Joe Pelotichuk had 2.
Yep.
Jake Peterson, Air Force. Jacob Stender scored for Minnesota State.
He's from Alex. Seems like Jack Smith is jumping into we put his name down every week.
Yeah. He's been doing good for Mankato, which I think is good because from what I understand, I don't know if you know more of his story or not, Tony or Jess, but it sounded like he kind of had injuries throughout juniors and then kind of early college. So maybe it's good if he's healthy and playing some bigger minutes now for Minnesota State.
Yeah, he just didn't, and I hate to say didn't get a fair shake because Scott Sandlin is a very fair coach.
Absolutely.
But he just never really got into a groove at UMD, and now he is definitely finding that groove at Minnesota State. A little bit like Pitlick, like Rem really just had Rhett had a really good career season with Minnesota State last year, and I think the same could be said for Jack Smith.
And let's face it, that's in an ideal world, that's what the transfer portal is for.
Yes, exactly.
Don't punish a kid just because he happens to go to a place that doesn't fit for him. That happens all the time. For years the argument was, why can coaches move here to here to here to here?
I agree with that.
So I there's an example of the transfer portal working the way it was designed to work, where a player can find the place, school-wise, hockey-wise, all of that they fit.
That fits. There was and I don't remember her name specifically. I think it might have been Taylor Stewart at UMD. So Taylor Stewart had a COVID year, and she got her 4-year degree from UMD, and she played her 5th year at Minnesota.
For the Gophers. Yeah,
and
interviewed her a few times.
The reason she did it is because she's from Rochester. She was going to medical school or wanted to go into nursing, and that wasn't offered at UMD. So it was more of an education decision than a hockey decision.
When I was at UMD, I knew a girl there who was studying nursing but had to finish her degree at the University of Minnesota.
Exactly.
I wound up marrying her, but
I knew that was coming back. Some gal. Some gal.
Yeah, so that's kind of the notables we had and the Summit scores for upcoming games. I can just run through a couple. Obviously, we're starting to slow down since we near the holidays. Some teams are off entirely now until the new year. Bemidji and Minnesota are both off for the weeks to come. Minnesota State is at Augustana, so that's a fun one. St. Cloud State will play at home against Denver. Again, that's a tough weekend for the Huskies. North Dakota plays Omaha. Omaha is always kind of a tricky team. I feel like people kind of overlook them, and then they tend to give teams some fits, so that'll be fun to watch. St. Thomas is at Northern Michigan. Going to be
red hot Northern Michigan, by the way.
Red
some
hot.
conference points there. And Minnesota Duluth will play Arizona State.
On the road.
On the road,
in
right?
Tempe.
I think that's in Duluth.
Really?
Let's check.
Really?
Those
Believe
games
it's
are
in-
at Amsoil Arena in Duluth.
Really?
Yeah, I think that one's in Duluth.
That'll be a must-see for us.
Probably would rather have it be
Penn State, by the way, is off this weekend. Have you looked at Penn State's schedule?
Yeah, we said last week.
Their last game was like before Thanksgiving, and they don't play again until
January,
like MLK Day or something like that.
And then they play RIT.
They have a ridiculously long break.
Yeah,
in
that's
there.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a
Well,
ridiculously
that's all I had for this week, you
soft
guys. I don't
non-conference
know if you
schedule,
had
too.
any other tidbits or notables at all.
No, I got nothing. Whenever I get some good news, I send it to you so you can put it in there and make for a good show. So,
speaking of break, we're going on hiatus, right?
we are. We won't be back until January.
Wow. Well, happy New Year.
Yeah, we might as well because we knew there wasn't going to be a ton of games.
No, and then you factor in the World Juniors after that. So once the World Juniors is over on January 5th, we would start up on January 10th, I believe that is, right? Or January 12th.
I checked last week, by the way, USA Germany, December 26th at Grand Casino Arena. You can get in the door for about $82 right now.
Really?
Yeah, so
such a good deal.
Absolutely.
Such a good deal.
And if you just want to see a World Juniors game, some of those, 3M Arena at Mariucci where it's Slovakia and Sweden, like $30 to get in the door. Go check it out. So, yeah.
It should be good. I hopefully when the big games
the hockey
get going,
is going to be fantastic.
When the big games get going, hopefully we can, as Minnesotans, we can fill that place.
Yep. They're a little bit. If there are concerns right now, talking to World Juniors folks, if there are concerns right now, here's the biggest concern: Canadians aren't traveling to the U.S. right now.
We've heard,
and normally you get huge numbers of Canadian fans. Coming down,
I think they
wherever
still
the
will come
is.
though. It's such a
I
big,
think
it's a
will.
big tournament for that country.
Maybe not in the numbers they've come in the past, but
Right.
but I think you'll still get you'll still see a fair amount of Maple Leaf flags flying
I'd
over
say
it.
the Canadians that live in the United States will definitely
No
make a
question
point.
about it. No
Yep.
question about it. So,
So,
all
good
right,
stuff.
fantastic show. Thanks to APX Hockey and the USHL. Thanks to Ryan and Sydney and Jess. I'm Tony Scott. Thanks for tuning in to This Week in College Hockey.